And this is our road to the Super Bowl using precognition. Um, I'll be starting off here, and then Scott will be picking things up. The Super Bowl has always been for us. This goes way back, even before app to physics intuition application. We've always been doing predictions of the Super Bowl in one form or another. But this time we're starting earlier than usual, and I think it's going to be fun, and we'll sort of just do it together, and always open for suggestions on how to modify it and make it more fun. But here's the rough plan at this point. We're sitting here where we have 8 teams that are going to play each other. You see the teams here, and it's this coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I'll show you next. We already have some of the games and over and under favorite, etc., already going. I mean, we're going to do one today. So this opens up the possibility to do parlays between these if in fact we get predictions. One of the things we've learned, and Scott um, was the latest to really teach us this with his great hit rate, that passes are in fact okay. If you push it in terms of making a prediction, you're probably not going to do well. You get the highest hit rates when you allow yourself to get those passes and still feel good about it. You still get your feedback, you still get to learn something. Uh, so depending on how many actual predictions we get, that'll determine whether we can do parlays or not for this weekend. Now, um, the following week, we're really down to what I would call the quarterfinals. Many sports, as you know, have lots of teams that start out and then you get near the end. And here we are with 8 teams, and now we're going to have 4 teams here. And next Wednesday, I am going to set us up with a 4-choice ARV. Today, everybody, groups and ourselves, will be the standard 2-choice, but ARV, as I think you all know, can be done for multiple choices. And so I'm going to set up a 4-choice for us because it's going to be one of these 4 teams that is then going to meet on February 7th for the Super Bowl. But when you're down to 4 choices, you're in a position where the odds are such that it's no longer 50-50 and they give you better payoffs. Plus, it's kind of fun at this point to choose the Super Bowl. And then in between this is January 24th, and then there's 2 weeks until the Super Bowl. We'll see how things are going, what the interest level is, but we certainly can be doing more predictions there because they probably have, I'm really guessing, 50 different kinds of wagers that you can make on the Super Bowl. The amount of money that is wagered on the Super Bowl is really rather incredible because it gets so much attention. Okay, so that's the overall kind of plan as I see it now, with lots of room for suggestions and for different people to take on different kinds of predictions. Now, so far, what I'm aware of is Scott is taking the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Denver Broncos with his WWC dinner group. So he'll be doing that prediction. And Tom, who wanted to be here, but he wasn't sure he could, so no, he didn't make it. He is a new general manager of the Pegasus Group, and he has sent out a point spread tasking, and I know there have already been some predictions some transcripts submitted. Neither of these teams have put out any prediction, but when they do, they will be shared with everybody as far as I can tell, more than just the group. I think we'll make this an app kind of event. That's how I'm seeing it. So these two, and then today, this webinar, I'm the group manager for a group called Webinar, and so I do live things like this. And I wanted to choose something different. We've been doing over under and the point spread for quite a while because these are 50-50 propositions, and that's why they're so popular. This is a point spread, which I think now is about 5 points. So you either give 5 points on the point spread or take 5 points. But the odds one is different. And down here, I don't know if, well, you see enough. Down here is the way it showed up on bookmaker.eu. And I chose this one, the Kansas City New England game. And Kansas City is the underdog. Now, let me explain what these numbers mean. This is the spread, so you can see the plus or minus 5. Kansas City, let's see. Kansas City, you can actually win this spread bet even if they lose, but if they lose by less than 5 points. So you get to add 5 points to their score. Now, this is the over-under. So this little up arrow, if you wanted to trade here, you would trade over 42, and here's under 42. So that would be for what Scott is doing. The point spread is for what Tom is doing. Now what I'm doing, here it's called odds. In other places it's called, I don't know, the line, or they've got different words, but it always means the same thing. Here, you're wagering on whether Kansas City will win or New England would win. Now, this says minus 235. I don't know if you can you see that on your screens, the minus 235?
Barely. It's half of
Okay,
it.
it's barely cut off, but okay, but that's what it is. What that means is they're the favorites. The negative in this approach that a lot of the sports books use, including Las Vegas, the negative means that they're a favorite. This means that if you put up um, $235, then you would win $100. So you would get 235 back plus 100. So here you'd have to put up 235 to win 100, which shows that they're the favorite. The minus 110, notice here, is even. And this is the even wager. Here you'd put up 110 to win 100. But notice here, and this is why I did this one, here with the plus, what this means is if you put up $100, you will make 195. So you'll get your 100 back plus 195. So this is the kind of wager, and I know some other people, including Teresa, are starting to do this where you put this into the context of a yes-no question. You know, will Kansas City beat New England? And it'll be yes or no. And if it's yes, then this would be really a good wager. But it might be no. The odds makers are in fact indicating that it's no. So this is where we stand now. We are going to do this today. I wanted to show the GM general manager setup for this because we've got some new general managers here, and this is the way I set this up in Winning Entanglement. So this is the webinar workshop group. Here came in an email. In fact, you'll see that email in a minute. And here's where the two sides came in, and they were randomly chosen and with another name, but I set this to yes, and this is no. And here's the event name. Will Kansas City Chiefs win over the New England Patriots? And then the actual game is on the 16th at 1:35 Pacific time. And this stuff is due today, notice the 13th, by 2 p.m. Pacific time. So I'm just showing you the setup. This is the email which went out. It turns out the way I've got this set up, it just goes out to me because I do these live. These are intended to be done at webinars or workshops live. So this is the email, and you can see the event got printed out, the dates got printed out, and now comes the link. So what we're about to do now is typical we, and let me see where this comes up. Okay, so this, just like those of you who have been using We know, you get an email address here. Here's the webinar workshop. Here are all the We groups, not all of which are active, but those are the possible groups. And then we click here. And now, as you know, with we mostly encourage 2 transcripts to give you 2 chances to get a good session and make one prediction on the tasking here. However, for webinars and sometimes other people don't have time to do 2, we'll do 1. So, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do 1, and we'll do the first one. And so we'll get a full up prediction on that. So hopefully you can gather and get your pencil and paper and start getting into the mindset of doing a session and write down on your piece of paper the coordinate TRN 114975. So that will be your coordinate. Tasking, describe, and or sketch your 114975 feedback target. Okay, so we're still very intellectual now. And okay, so hopefully you've all got that. What I'm going to do now, normally with We, I think as certainly those people doing We know, is you would do your transcript and then you would upload it. And so I will do that a little bit later, and then you'll be able to do the judging and all that. But right now, start getting into the mind frame of doing your remote viewing session. Describe and sketch your 114975 feedback target. Begin to understand that you're going to get into the space where you do that. And I want to remind you, and then I'm going to turn this over to Scott. I want to remind you that Joe McMonagle really believes cool down is very important. In fact, he has said that he sees it as 75% of the discipline. And I think what he means by that is getting quiet and really getting into that space where you're connected to your feedback is what's critical. So with that, let me turn this over to Scott. And that's it. Scott, do you want me to make you presenter, or do you just want to do this verbally?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's do a 6-minute cool down. And if you want to do your own thing that really works for you, you can do that. Just set a timer for 6 minutes. Otherwise, I will talk a little bit. But do focus on your breath. Almost all meditation starts with kind of grounding yourself and focusing on your breath. And there's one meditation I like that the Rosicrucians did thousands of experiments on and found that this puts you in the right brainwave state for something like remote viewing. But you can breathe in. You can breathe in for 5 seconds. I counted 5. 1, 1,000. 2, 1,000. 3, 1,000. 4, 1,005. And then you hold for 10 seconds. And then you breathe out for 5. And then you repeat. This kind of tells your body and your mind that you're taking control of your breath. You're moving into a very different kind of consciousness. You're stopping whatever else is going on, and you're moving into this type of focus. So breathe in 5, hold for 10, breathe out 5. And then when I practice this, there'll be a point where I'll just hold my breath and my eyes will kind of roll up into the back of my head. And that'll be one of many signals to me that I'm moving into a meditative state that's appropriate for remote viewing. So let your mind quiet. Now that you've focused on your breath, you can take all your distractions and you can put them in a box, a treasure chest. Just pour all your distractions away in the week. Put them in this treasure chest and lock it tight. You can get back to it later. At the Monroe Institute, they picture putting all your distractions into a locked box, setting it aside. So you can focus on this session. Marty, can you put the coordinate number up again? So if you get any precog images, any pre-session images, you can jot those down. Breathe, sink into your consciousness. We're moving to a place beyond time and space. So that means the distance between now and the feedback event is no distance at all. It's something you can touch. We're going to send you a feedback photo after the game. It'll be attached to this coordinate. So you know exactly where you're going. Breathe, focus. Calm your mind. Calmer, quieter. You can turn your attention to this coordinate, this future feedback event. You can start receiving impressions. the end of the feedback, I'll repeat the coordinate, and if you do ideograms, you can do that. And some people get impressions before. So we'll do a couple more minutes of quiet breathing. I really want to go deep on this one. So people who are arriving, we're in the middle of a cool down, so you're welcome to cool down for the next 90 seconds, and then we'll start a coordinate, and you can do a remote viewing session. We'll give you feedback after the game, which will be this weekend. So about a minute more, quiet breathing, sink down into your meditative state, lay down. Focus on the feedback target that we send you this week attached to this coordinate you see here. So about 10 seconds. Okay, so your coordinate is 114975. It's 114975. Go. Do your whole remote viewing session. We're just doing one. Let's go 7 to 10 minutes or until people say they're finished. So we're about halfway through. When you're done, say done in the chat box. Two people said they're done. Trying to wrap it up in the next few minutes. Put something in the chat box. I think we're not going to upload the transcripts this time. We're going to self-judge. Summary never hurts. All right. So if you want to keep going with your session, you can keep going. Other people can start judging their session.
Okay, if you want to begin judging, those of you who haven't, like I know Deborah typically likes more time. Deborah, turn off your screen because we're shortly going to show a picture.
That's okay. I'll self-judge today. That's okay.
Well, yeah, but I
I
don't want you to see it until you finish your session. So I'm suggesting
oh,
take more time,
okay.
or because or are you done with your transcript?
You know, I think I'm not feeling particularly focused, so I think I'll just kind of go ahead, but just know I'm not feeling too focused at the
Okay.
moment. So
Okay.
just
Well,
go ahead.
okay. We'll go ahead, but I'm just suggesting you might want to turn off your screen because that
Okay.
seeing the choices would really front load you. Um,
Okay.
okay. So now the next step here is normally if you're home using you now have your transcript that you generated. You take a picture of it, scan it, one way or another, you get it into your computer, and then you would browse for it. Now, um, um, so this would be an example of where I might have put my transcript if I was doing one, but I did not. But what I have done is made basically a placeholder, dummy transcript placeholder here. So I will put that in there so I can go to the next step. And so I'll put it in both places. Now notice if you were just to do one, you could make a dummy text file of your own to do virtually what we're doing here. Okay, so now we've uploaded these dummy transcripts, which would be equivalent to what you would do, and now I'm going to hit submit. And there is photo site A. So change hats, put on your judging hat, which is largely but not totally intellectual, and we use the TARG confidence scale, which I think you're all familiar with. Maybe we can just flash it here. 3.5 would say it's wagerable. You'd be willing to wager a few bucks on it. You're suggesting that it is wagerable. 2 is sort of random. 4 is good correspondence with several matchable elements. So there are a few things you can say that really, really matched. But you still have some incorrect information. 5, you have matchable elements, but some of those are unambiguous and unique. So these are really strong. A 5 is strong. You feel really strongly that you have indeed made contact with the feedback target. And then 6, you're getting even better. Now you're getting some of your AOLs are correct. You're naming the function of the target, maybe the target itself by the time you get up to 7, where there's essentially no incorrect data. Okay, so that's sort of a reminder. Okay, so you're going to see another transcript shortly. That'll be the photo side B, but for now, take your 114975 transcript, judge it against this photo site, and come up with your personal ranking. And then in the chat box, there's a place to send things to organizers only. That will go to me and Scott, and I'm putting together a spreadsheet of those. So we'll see everybody's judgments about this photo site A and then also photo site B, and then we can make a group prediction. So Scott, you have anything else you want to add to that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to come up with 2 scores. One for your transcript against photosite A and one for photosite B. Put those in the chat box.
Right, to the organizers, so we don't, we want, your judgment should be totally independent. Photosite A and photosite B, though people are known to, and that's okay, again, intuition is part of this, to go back and modify their scores, their confidence ranking scores.
So we do want 2 scores, right, Marty? They're not going to choose.
Yes, right now, all they're seeing is photosite A.
Mm-hmm.
So all they can do is do it. Okay, Deborah, I see your comment. Why don't you give it a CR? And yes, I think I can make that larger, Nancy. Let me see how I can do that.
Control scroll wheel.
How about this?
Yeah.
How's that? Yes, and put your CR in the box, and then I will put it on the spreadsheet. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Got it. Okay, and Mark, thank you. So I think there may only be 4. I never heard from Gary. Scott, you didn't do one, correct?
I did the really brief one.
Did you want to give a CR score to it or not?
No, not until I see the second one, I
think. Okay. And Teresa had to leave, so the only one is Gary, and I'm going to assume he is not hearing or able to communicate. Okay, so that's photosite A. Now I'm going to show you photosite B. Here is photosite B. And judge it independently. And, whether you gave the first one a low score or a high score, this one you should judge independently. Wipe out the previous information and now judge this one and give it a CR score.
Is that water in the background?
Just then?
Is that sky or water in the back?
Is that sky or water?
Oh, in the background. I would say sky. But wait, maybe not. I'm looking over in this little corner here. Huh. I guess now that you ask it, that's vague. Just because, they're sort of in Africa and there's no ocean or stuff like that, but I'm sure there's water. What do you think that is? I would say I don't know for sure. I would think it's sky, but I don't know that for sure. Okay, so let me finish this off. I now have them all. Let me just put them in here. Okay, so Deborah is a 3 and Nancy is a 3. Okay, Scott, do you want to jump in here or not?
Let's see. Sure. Where's your screen here? Here we go. So you're going to put up the...
Yeah, I guess you can add yours. You've seen them anyway, sort of. Okay, so here, oh wait, let me get rid of this. Analysis judging. Okay, that's good. And let me bring over here. Okay, so what you're now seeing, and as a group manager looking at these numbers, I say pretty good, pretty clear what to do. Scott, did you want to put in your numbers? Do you want me to put 2 in here? Or, unfortunately when
No.
you... Okay. Okay. Were you leaning the other way? Come on, you can tell us.
I got conflicting stuff between my clay and my diagram. So.
Oh, you did clay too. That's beautiful. So now I'm putting on my judge hat. All of you are putting on, might pretend you're even a group manager. You have the CR scores like this, but you also have access because in general, people will have uploaded their transcripts. Now, Deborah sent me something saying she actually named it. Did you say lighthouse, something that direct, or what were your words, Deborah?
Yeah, I had tumultuous waters, sea, lighthouse. I was thinking maybe there was like a big boat out there, and but it was more like about the tumultuousness of the water.
Okay.
And yeah, lighthouse. I drew a little tower, and then also kind of this another shape that was curved, and I was having AOLs of different. I had foliage like trees, like a pretty green place by the ocean. So I was being reminded of different places I've been to like that. The I had like people on the beach, so I'm not seeing people in the photo. Um, and it kind of
Nevertheless, that was certainly very good and hard to object with a 6. I would like to say now, as a judge, my experience from doing this in many workshops, working with a lot of people is, as a judge, do not get emotional. In other words, right now, hey, this is looking good, really looking good. We're talking about that other one. Do not get emotional about it. We don't want to do anything to attract attention here. All the attention goes with the feedback photo site. Um, Jen, let me just ask you, since you got all of these scores, of course, were good, but Jen, you had a 5. What did you see that was like unambiguous?
Yeah, I was getting uh, I, I got the top view of the lighthouse. I drew several towers. Um, I wrote down it was shiny, luminescent, self-luminescent, emits a light, man-made. Um, let's see. Then grid-like. I was describing some of the water. I was describing the houses. I was actually describing the roof of the houses as being red and interlocking, which those are tin roofs, and yes, they interlock.
Hmm.
Um, I mean the whole.
Yeah, okay.
I got a
It
I got a
sounds
sense
like
of
sounds
I
like
got a sense that I felt like it was like close to home or something like that. That's a lighthouse. It could possibly be near here. I don't know. I don't recognize that particular place, but it has a familiar feel to it. So I mean, I live near the coast, so that's gonna
right.
ring with me.
Okay, well, that certainly sounds like a 5. And Mark and Nancy, you feel comfortable with your 4s? Do you want to say anything about your transcripts or not?
Uh, yeah, yeah, I feel pretty good about the 4. I doorknobbed on the lighthouse, so I didn't see the water. Um, I got the lighthouse of the trees, but I didn't have it. I slanted it instead of being vertical. I slanted it more at a 45-degree angle for some reason, and I had the windows and everything. Um, that's about it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. And Nancy, you have some comment you want to make about your session?
Well, I hit both sides. I found commonalities in both, like yellow and then I got the zebra butt as well as I didn't write those words, but I drew it, as well as the shape around the light. The light in the lighthouse is really intriguing with the arches on both sides. So anyway, I hit both, and so if it went by mine, I'd say a pass, but it looks like
Well,
others have
and that's right.
strong.
Historically, when these are only one apart, we don't give it as much strength. But
Yeah.
all of these others are 2, for me, is sort of the magic number. I like it when they're 2 or more, and virtually all of these are. So um, let's put a comment. So let's fill this out. So I would say with the 5 and the 6 and 2 4s, I have no trouble making this a 5. Yeah, let's say we call this a pass, and then the average is a 5. So let's make photo site A and we'll put a 5 in here. And then here, again, if we ignore this one as a pass, I mean, I think a 2 would certainly, no one's going to, does that seem reasonable for what we as a group predicted here?
I like it.
I was going to say with no objections. Okay, so this is precog toward, I don't remember the exact words I used, but Super Bowl 50 webinar. Okay. I wish I could do a copy and paste of this, but this sort of says it. The language says that we did very well. So I'm going to submit it. Go ahead.
What game is this again?
Oh yeah, I can put the game. That's good. But that's in the records anyway, but we can put it here. But that'll come out later. But here. So it's not only game, it's the question. So no, you don't really put it here. At least I'm not going to put it here because it'll come out everywhere else because it's already been recorded.
It's not the Super Bowl though, so you might want to be careful with putting Super Bowl.
That's perfect. That's right. It's the playoff. Well, precog towards the webinar. Okay, yeah. This is a playoff. Thank you. This is a playoff game. Doing the odds. Doing the underdog. Well, doing the odds. I'm just going to say odds because notice no matter which way the answer is, it gives us information on the prediction. So it's going to be, this is a playoff game doing the odds with yes/no. Okay. Yeah, I can tell you're not happy with this. Let me copy for you. I'll copy the question. I can tell. And this is not untypical. General managers have different styles. But, of course, this is a viewer. I'm now doing it as a viewer for everybody.
Kansas City, right?
Right. Let me see if it's here. Here you go. So
we came out with a yes answer, which is the underdog.
how do you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't know that yet.
The computer randomly assigns which side is yes or no.
Right. We do not know. This is either a yes or a no. And
Gotcha.
frankly, I don't know. But we'll find out because we're going to make a prediction now.
Okay.
There you go. Look at that. It said yes. Oh,
Yeah, side one is yes, so we picked yes. Kansas City will win.
So I clicked it. Here's what we wrote. Here are the CRs. So we're saying the underdog is going to win, and they'll allow you to place bets now. Scott, do you want to do that just to show it? You may even want to place a small bet or a large bet, whatever bet you'd like to place, but there it is. Okay.
Is this game today? Is this game right now coming up?
It's this weekend.
Okay. Okay.
And let me make you presenter, Scott.
It's Saturday at 1:35.
Right.
So if other groups are doing games as well that day, we can parlay this. Okay. I'm sorry I missed the first few minutes.
Well, no,
Sorry.
Nancy, just to bring you up to speed, there are two other groups, Scott's group and Tom G's group, which is Pegasus now. One of them is doing an over-under, the other is doing a favorite. They're on different games. So
Different days.
and even different days, but you can still do a parlay in advance of that as well as individual wagers.
So you can't the parameters to a parlay, is it possible to do parlays on 2 different days?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Here, Scott, go ahead, Scott. He'll show you.
Yeah, so here's one. I have a couple of Bovada accounts, and this is the game we're talking about on Saturday here. And we're saying Kansas City is going to win over New England here. So I would choose this one.
No,
Oh,
wait,
wait,
be careful. You're doing the spread.
Well, actually, you'll win at both because Kansas City's going to win, and you know you can do a parlay, right? With that, would they let you do a parlay that way?
I think so, but I can see yours must be called money line, and they haven't put out a money line yet. Isn't that interesting?
It's just too early in the week.
On mine, it's out there.
On 5 Dimes they have it, and then also the game I chose a game for this Sunday, and they don't. This site doesn't even have odds.
So the 5 Dimes has it up with Kansas City Chiefs at plus 190 and New England Patriots at minus 230. So it looks like we would put money down on the Kansas City Chiefs, and it would be put down 100 and win 190.
That's exactly. So you put down 100 and you would win 100, and that's why I chose it. I'm showing that you can go for the underdog, the long hunt. I think Teresa is taking horses that might not be the longest shot, but imagine if you took well, she's doing it a little differently, but we talked about this. Imagine if you took a horse that was 5-1, and you asked the question, will this horse show? Because even if it showed, you would make a reasonable amount of money. And so this idea of doing yes/no questions on long shots is starting to get some attention, and so I wanted to do it here.
So here's 5 Dimes. I don't have an account there, but they have a money line thing here. So if you just want to pick on who's going to win without the plus or minus 4 or anything like that, plus or minus 5, you just want a money line, straight who's going to win, then we could bet on this line right here, Kansas City Chiefs.
And that would be all we know now because the other 2 groups haven't given us anything. But why don't you show the parlay? Could you look at the parlay? Maybe I should open up mine. Let me open up mine.
If you want me to, mine's up.
Oh, okay. Let me show yours. And you know how to do. Okay, let's look at yours. But you can see where you could then put a bet, and it's just as we had indicated when I had done it a day or so ago.
I could do one here. I could do one here real quick because I could do over under. So as soon as I click, if I thought Kansas City was going to win by that point spread, and I thought that the total score was going to be over 42.
And this is a parlay you're doing now.
Yeah. So here's the over. Here's the over bet.
Right.
Here's the bet for who wins. Kansas City by 5.5.
Okay. And then if you were to risk $10, how much would you win?
So if I risk $10, and it doesn't give me the option for a parlay on this one.
Oh, you didn't? No, on mine you have to call parlay. Let's go to Nancy because I'd like to see if you could do all 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because then you start getting almost, mini lottery-like, if you will. Because
if it was 3 different games, it would have. If it was 3 different games, it would have led me. But I tried to do it on the same game.
Well, no, you didn't have a money line chosen yet. Oh, okay.
Under the point spread, yeah.
Okay, Nancy, we're seeing you. How do you do a parlay in 5? Oh, it says parlay in 5 Dimes. I see it over there on the left.
Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen, and I see parlay on the left there.
I'm going to click over. This is my account here, and I'm going to go to the left and click parlay.
Right. And we'll see what they'll let you do.
And then we're going to go under parlay to NFL and continue.
Right. Yeah, you see you have money line too, but let's see what you can do for parlay. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so now for a parlay, we could do...
I haven't seen it change yet. Did you do parlay?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the
And
screen's
so,
not changing.
The screen
so
is,
it's
wait. Your screen is frozen somehow. Um, click the share screen button again. Somehow you're frozen because we're not seeing it.
typical.
Ah, there we go. Now I see
Yeah.
parlay.
Okay.
Okay.
So it says parlay up here. Can you see my cursor circling the
Yep.
word parlay?
Yep.
Oh, good. Okay. And so I see that this very first game is Kansas City Chiefs, New England Patriots, and
Right.
I've clicked 190.
Hmm.
So now to parlay, what would we want to parlay with that?
We don't know, but why don't we just show it? It won't
Okay.
just
So
show
how
it.
about so what's the other game? Do you think maybe the other team has chosen the Green Bay Packers to win that the other guys. And so then we go down here to continue. So I've got two games going here. I'm going to bet on the Kansas City Chiefs to win and the Green Bay Packers to
Why
win,
don't you
say.
do an over under too, just for fun?
Okay, and then I'm going to do
Under. Yep.
over right there. How about that one? Because
And
that's
it's
the lowest one. I have no idea what's
good.
going to happen.
Okay.
Okay, so we're pretending this, so I'm going to make a really
Right.
low bet because I have no idea what's going to. I'm going to win, of course.
Of course.
And I'm going to say $10.
Right.
No, let's be big spenders. 20.
Ooh.
What's so funny? Okay, so if I bet
Ooh.
$20 on these three, on the Kansas City Chiefs and the to win, and then to have the game over, both of those teams to have more than 41.5 points, and the Green, if all three of those predictions come true on this $20 bet, this is what will be hauled in. And I'm
Correct.
going to put in my password because that's just too cool.
No. Well, if you want to do
It's
this
20
just
bucks.
because you chose them randomly, fine. But I wouldn't. I mean, the reason that's so high.
It's amazing.
I'm just giving you advice, but the reason that's so high is because of the plus 190 and the plus 245. In other words, you're really saying that
Right
the
up here.
underdogs, two of them are going to win.
Yeah, and
Usually,
that's
if the other ones had been like minus 110 and minus 110, this 20 might go up over 100. It might go up to 150, 200 or something like that. But hey, you do what you want, Nancy. It's $20. I mean, if that, who knows? Maybe your intuition was right on, and you went to it for who knows what reason.
it was
So it's
really
your
random.
choice if you want to
On the
show
other
it.
hand, this Green Bay Packers, I have no emotional feeling whatsoever about any of these teams, and I'm going to cancel out.
Okay, I'm sorry I scared. If this happens, I'm going to owe you a dinner or something.
All right.
Okay.
So I will close out of my 5 dimes, but before I do that, does that answer people's questions about what we're doing here?
Yeah, but I think everything that showed on your screen, any combination of those would be permitted. In other words, they only put on the screen things that you could have put in your parlay. Now, I could be wrong, but that's kind of my understanding.
I think Bovada wasn't going to let me do it. And then I noticed that even on 5 dimes, the game that I picked for Sunday, they don't have an over/under bet yet.
Right, and that's
They haven't
because
decided on the line.
yeah, and they just haven't chosen it yet. So the only one we're in a position now to actually wager on is this particular one, which is pretty all by itself is pretty interesting because now we are in a position to wager, whatever we want to, but make basically twice as much as a profit.
Hey, Marty,
Yeah.
can I interject? Hey, the kids are going to be home from school here, so I'm going to have to get going.
Yeah.
For planning purposes, for the Omega group for the weekend, why don't I do over/under for the Packers and Cardinals?
Terrific. In other words, you're finishing off your basketball game and then you put out another tasking.
Yeah, correct.
That's terrific. Great. And then
But wait a minute, stop. Will the tasking be emailed to us? Because I can't get on the site.
I'll
get in the group.
make sure.
It doesn't like my Yahoo. It doesn't like my Yahoo ID.
Well, no, I put you in on your Gmail. ID as well.
Oh, okay, okay.
Well, don't you stay here, Jen. We'll turn off the recording, and I'll make sure you can get on.
Okay.
Okay.
And that is where. So instead of only sending it to your group, also send it to the discussion list. You know, continue the thread and just indicate the Omega group predicts so and so a pass or whatever it is.
Okay.
And then all of us who are interested will put together whatever parlays we want. And we may want to, you know, talk about it on the group list and all that. Or, yeah, for now, let's do that.
Jen wants a bigger explanation of parlays, and we should
Oh,
record
Yeah,
it.
I didn't see
I'll
that.
see you.
Yeah, take care, Mark.
Okay.
The parlays. Oh, you gave it back to me, Nancy? Or did she leave too?
I guess Nancy left. No, she's still there.
Why don't you keep the screen, Nancy? Your screen was perfect when you showed the parlays.
Oh, now she's gone.
Now she's gone. Okay, Scott. Well, I can do it. In fact,
Yeah,
let me do it.
but it's not going to let me do as many parlays.
Yeah, I'll do
I'm
it.
just looking at this. I'm not sure it's legal for me to do that.
Oh, in
I'm in Canada.
No, you have legal gambling in
Oh
Canada.
yeah, sure. And then
Yeah.
Bovada works great in Canada. All these sites do, I think.
Yeah, no, in fact, I mean, I hate to say this, but you're the one who's 100% legals.
Oh, okay.
Let's not go any further with that on the webinar, but
Yeah.
okay, so I'm logging in.
It's very confusing. I don't think I'd even touch it yet.
We don't see your site.
Right.
We don't see your screen yet, Marty.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Here we go.
You do have it now. There you go.
I'll make it bigger here. I can see it.
Okay, so
You zoom in, Marty?
say it again.
Zoom in a bit, make it larger.
That's as large as I can make it. It's on your screen, you can make it larger. For me, it's filling up the whole screen.
No, but the website's got all that white space on them both sides. Really, we only need the middle part.
How about that?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, first thing I notice is Nancy had 5.5 for this. This is the same as it was when I was there.
Can you explain those columns, because this is like,
I will.
You know,
This
I mean,
is
this
like
is
this
like,
is like new to you, but once you understand it, you'll sort of get it. The typical when things are even, and usually they start out. Remember, the bookmakers are the guys who make their money on what's called the VIG. Let me explain what the VIG is. This minus 110 with the minus sign means that if I put up $110, I will get 100 back. If I put up $11, I'll get 10 back. It all scales. So we always sort of talk about it as $110, you get 100 back. That $10 difference is the VIG. That's what they would keep on what they see as a 50-50 proposition. Notice it's minus 110 here and minus 110 there. Okay, so that's a 50-50 proposition. And you could go over 41.5 or under 41.5. Now, the odds, as I described to you, the minus 231 tells me that New England is a strong favorite because I have to put up $231 to make $100. Okay?
okay.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about making $100, is that you're getting your money back plus $100?
Correct. In other words, a profit of 100. If you do this, the pluses go the other way around. In other words, if I put up $100, I will make 191 as a profit. Now, I'm willing, based on what I've seen here, to do a bet. So I'm going to highlight that and I'll show you how to do a bet. Now over here, this is the same thing, but this is the spread with +5 and -5. Now maybe you don't understand what a spread is. Do you understand what a spread
No,
is?
no, I don't.
Okay. A spread, and this is, and again, I know it's sort of a lot of information, but this is the last thing you actually need to know, and you do it a few times and you kind of get it. New England is the favorite here. That was shown very strongly here, but it's shown here as well. If you take the spread bet, you have to give up 5 points. In other words, if New England beats Kansas City by 4 points, you would lose this bet right here. Okay? Because that's what the -5 means. If you take Kansas City, you can add 5 points to your score, and if it's higher than New England, you win this bet. So that's the difference between the spread where you get these points versus what's called the line. Odds here was called something else in other places. They have different words, but these are the 3 standards you'll see everywhere. Plus there are others you can do, but these are the ones. Now I'm willing to make this bet, and I'm even willing to make a parlay, because if this one wins, this one is sure to win, and they may not let me do that. So let's find out. So on this site, I will now do a continue. And here it is, Kansas City +191. I'm just going to put $10 because I also want to do a parlay, and I also want to do whatever the other groups say. Plus, I can always add more later. So I'm just going to do 10, and I hit continue.
So you can put in any amount of money in there that you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you want to do $1, then you can do $1.
I can do, yeah. Some different sites might have different minimums, but they're small. I mean, $10 is okay. So notice, I'm risking 10 and I win 19 and 10 cents, which is, the same ratio as 100. And this is to win. I would get my $10 back and I would get 19.10 as a profit. So I'm going to confirm my bet. I haven't done sports for a very long time, but once you get it once, it's sort of like swimming. You never forget. And
Yeah.
I know some people, I saw Nancy's account balance, see mine's low, but it just went down by $10. And I'm risking 10, but it'll go up by 29.10 if I win, over the weekend. But both Nancy and Scott have been doing this quite successfully and slowly increasing using sort of a percentage basis. And when I get done with this, I will be risking, probably 20, maybe even more, 30% of this, which is a pretty aggressive way to wager, but reasonable if you feel you've got the odds with you. Now here, so that's it.
So like but they don't give you the money back. They just keep it in an account for you?
Yes, they keep it in the account, and there is a way you go to the cashier if you want your money back.
Okay.
And it's you have to pay, though there's some ways, I think they'll send you a wire. There's some ways they'll send you that won't cost you too much money. But there are fees. There are fees. So you should investigate all that, and there's probably even a Canadian company, but I know Bookmaker would be happy to take Canadian people, and
Yeah, I just did a withdrawal. I did a withdrawal. But would send me a $1,000 check for free. As long as you do just one withdrawal a month, it's free.
And they sent you a check?
Yes.
Very nice. From which group?
Bovida.
Okay.
That's shown on my screen.
Okay, very good. Very good. So there's an example, and I've withdrawn money as well too. In fact, I once got a debit card. They gave me money on a debit card, and then I just used it that way. So all the different places have different ways, and you can investigate that. Okay, so this bet is in. Your bet has been successfully placed. Now this is what's called a straight bet. Now let's say I want to do a parlay bet. I'm now all the way back, but the type of bet is a parlay. I want to do NFL again. And notice Nancy's was set up a little bit different, but they all do the same thing. So you just have to figure out whichever one you go with. And now I do continue. Now, it's my understanding that what I'm seeing here is the ability to parlay. This would be the most unusual. If they let me do this, they'd probably let me click anything I want to. Notice I could do now, um, Scott, which game are you doing? You're doing
It's Pittsburgh. See, there's no odds.
there. Yeah, see, it's too far away. But
Mhm.
if Green Bay were here and someone had done the Green Bay for Saturday and there was an over under, I could click there and that
Mark
would
is
be,
going to do that.
yeah, and that'll be part of my parlay. In fact, I think Mark is actually doing this one, right?
Yep.
So Mark is exactly doing this one, and I could add that to these two. But I'm actually going to place a bet with these two. Notice the 190, and then this is minus 115. So it'll be interesting to see what I get for a $10 bet. So I'm willing to do it. So let's do it. I'm going to continue here. Ah, so there's some combinations, and that was sort of an obvious one, because if this wins, this is also going to win, and they would not let me do it. So you see this? Can you read this?
Yeah,
Invalid.
yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Can you click where it says American View? Let's click that and see what it says.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Here's the Asian view. Maybe
Oh,
that's
okay. It just says American and Asian.
okay. Now I do know. Okay, and that looks like it's just the way they show it. I do know on one
Okay.
of the other, way back when I was doing more sports and I had multiple accounts, I got rid of all of them and withdrew my money just the way, Scott said, and I just done that with other accounts as well. And I left this here just for purposes like this as examples because I knew I would be doing sports. But the point of saying that is one of the other sites I had what was a more odds oriented way. In other words, here it might say odds of, I don't know, 1.9. In fact, I ought to see if I can find that. Um,
What's the
but
most anyone in what's the most anyone in this group has ever won with this sort of thing?
with
Do you
sports,
know? Yeah.
I don't know. Scott's doing pretty well. You want to share how you've done, Scott?
I probably put in to one of those accounts about 300, 400, and it grew to about 1,200, 1,300. I wasn't betting every week. I was just betting once in a while. And that was pretty much just WW Chicken Dinner bets.
Now you should know WWC Chicken or Dinner has like a 75% overall hit rate. And recently he's been up to over 90%. So, well, 90%, 92% for the last 25 or so. So, he's been getting a very high hit rate. But
Yeah.
even with a modest hit rate, you make money I would say as long as you're making 60% or more, you cover more than the VIG, plus you can make a decent profit. And you don't look at it as one trade. You look at it just the way Scott did. How many trades were involved in there? 20, 30 trades maybe?
Um, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and you have to look at it that way because, one just doesn't mean anything. It's
Yeah.
being in it for the long term, setting up your wagering style. We always say wager wisely. And I personally like to say get rich slowly. So, we know precog works, so let's just keep applying it for the long term and get it to work for you.
That's very interesting. I mean, I'm a little bit nervous about such things. I'm really a conservative person as far as that kind of thing is concerned. That it's a, you know, it's interesting. I didn't even know that you could even do that. I mean,
Yeah.
I've
And
never seen anything like this
for you,
before.
it's legal. If you go to bookmaker.eu or any of the others, um, Five
It'd
Dive,
be .ca for me. It would be .ca for me probably.
okay.
No,
No,
I
no,
don't think it changed.
yeah,
Hang on,
this
let me
is
see if there's.
here. Wait, I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me do this. Let me put
I'm
in
looking on my phone.
Canadian betting sites. I'm just doing this into Google. Let's see what we get. Sports betting, sports interaction, Canadians online. So you've got one here. In fact, I remember using sports interaction, and they said because I was US, they stopped. They wouldn't let me use them anymore. So here, new customers get up to $100 betting bonus. Here, let's go here.
Bovada works, I know, because a Canadian guy recommended it to me.
Okay. And you might
It
want to
has
do
a
that because then you might want to go to Bovada.
Their
Because,
screen's a little simpler. You have fewer options, but their screen's a little easier to understand, I think.
well, and not only that, Jen, you've got right here somebody who I'm sure will be happy to help you. Um,
Yeah,
so let's go to that. Bovada.
that LV, yeah.
But they're all over the place. This is such big business, and they will make it very easy for you to put in money, as you would imagine.
Oh
Join
yeah,
now.
I bet they would.
Exactly. But they also make it if they'll send you a check, what could be easier than that for getting your money out and not charging you? So I may even add this back to my list because that's my intention. I happen to like to do the financials, Forex, and the S&P 500, and so I'm continuing to do some of that with groups and individuals. But I also want to do sports just because there's so many groups that are doing it. I want to take advantage of it. So here,
This,
I mean,
this,
here's
the
how to
stock
do it,
market,
and they will
the
tell
stock
you.
market would probably go over better with my other half.
Well, hey, you might want to get involved too, and you may want to do. I have another group called the financial group. So if you
Yeah.
want, you can do predictions for there too. But it sounds like you're already pretty busy. But that's your
Yeah,
choice.
let's just. I'm gonna just stick with what I've got right now. Kind of learn the ropes
Yep.
here
Yep.
before I do anything else. Because I mean, this is. I'm feeling a little bit on the overwhelmed side, even though I had a
Right.
good session just now.
Right.
I mean, this whole thing is
Well,
it's all new to me, and
go to it
I've never seen
slowly.
anything.
Here, I'm going to put this one in the chat box so you can copy it and go there if you want.
Okay.
And just go slowly. Don't go a little step at a time until you feel comfortable, and then go to the next step, and then go to the next step. Um, we're in this for the long term, so there's no rush. Okay, it's just the three of us. Is there anything else we should do on this recording? I think I can stop recording, and then Jen, I'll get you to make sure that you know how to get into the various groups and everything, okay?
Okay.
So I think Scott, is there anything else, or should we end this now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.